Good afternoon, everyone. I call to order the regular board meeting for GCC, January the 25th at 4:45, 2022. Roll call. Mr. Mark Anderson.
Here.
Mr. Harry Block. Mr. Harry Block.
He's muted.
Yeah. Okay. I could. There's something came up. I couldn't get off the mute. Okay. Yeah.
Mr. Bruce Mandrick.
Here.
Mr. Jack Turner.
Present.
And Lily Campbell, all members of the board present. Thank you for being here. Before we go into our regular agenda, I do need to have a board resolution for SB 361. And again, this is simply stating that we are abiding by the Brown Act and that we are privileged to have our meetings virtual. So I will entertain a motion to approve SB 361 board resolution.
I'll move approval.
Move approval, Mr. Mandrick.
Second.
Second, Mr. Turner. Any discussion, questions? Hearing none, roll call. Mr. Anderson, Mark Anderson,
Yes.
Harry Block,
Yes.
Bruce Mandrick,
Yes.
Jack Turner,
Yes.
Lily Campbell, yes. The SB 361 board resolution is passed, 5-0. Thank you all for being here again. We welcome you. We welcome those who are with us virtually. We welcome all of the cabinet members, our superintendent, our CBO, everyone, and all of the board members. Thank you so much for your presence. And we shall move on with our regular agenda. Do we have public comments? Mr. Sample or Miss Melissa?
Madam President, we're just looking. We have no public comments that have came in for this meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. And so with that, again, welcome and welcome to our superintendent. And we will move right into our superintendent's update. How are you? Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Madam President. It's as always an honor to be here with you and with this auspicious team and to give you a chance to listen into a few things that we've been working on. So first of all, I was reminded that this is our first meeting of 2022 and to wish you a happy new year. And at the same time, I must express those of us with boots on the ground feel like it's been a decade since the first day of the new year. So I just want to say, while it may be just 25 days, I guess, into the new year, those of us on the ground are certainly feeling like it's been a lot. Definitely want to affirm everyone. And certainly you're going to hear some more, but in particular, I want to do a shout out to Jason Sample and Christine McCormick, who are our points on all things COVID, as you know, which means their job never ends, including evenings, weekends, and lots of other work. Along with that, we have an incredible nurses team that's been working overtime and above and beyond. We have central office staff that are in my parking lot, helping with drive-by test accumulations. And, I see Nikki Claddy from HR at 6:45 in the morning, setting up cones in the parking lot. I see our very own Sean from data out there as well. I mean, everybody is doing whatever it takes, whenever it's needed. And they're just, obviously we want to say that's also true of HR, which has a lot of extra reporting right now in relation to this, and all of our school site staffs who are also trying to manage testing, student tests, who's out, how many days are they out, how do we cover for them? It is such an unprecedented time. And I know you know that, but I could not start my update without reminding you that we definitely need to affirm everybody in the organization for all the extra work that everyone is taking on at this time, and they are all doing it with such honor. So moving from that, I would say that I'm traveling or have traveled to Southern California. I am with you today from the Access Superintendent Symposium. And also we'll be attending not only the Superintendent's Council meeting in the morning, but the FCMAT board meeting, which should be highly interesting in this complex and challenging times. There's a lot of great presentations down here to help us understand more about how what we're facing, what we think is ahead, the governor's budget, new legal and legislative, and a lot of other things that I'm hopeful to bring back and into the conversations and the work that we're going to do. Also want to recognize at our sites that we have a number of sites that this week communicated to us that they are in Kindness Week. A lot of kindness activities out there on our campuses, people showing kindness to each other, to their staff, to students, students to staff, families, community, and really want to honor that. Also, we have heard many reports that the 100th day of school is sometime during this week. It might even be today, I'm not sure. But the 100th day of school is, as you can imagine, being really celebrated across the GCC. We heard some talk about dreaming about what you would do if you had $100. What do you think the world is going to look like 100 years from now? What will you look like when you're 100? I mean, there were some interesting activities happening out there in the world of 100s. So very excited. Always a pleasure to hear about what's happening in our sites. We're hoping to add some pictures about all that good stuff in our upcoming Friday letter, as we generally do. Definitely want to thank Miss Melissa and Mr. Sample for their work in including that in that missive that we send out. Sac County and Yolo County continue to experience increases in COVID-19 positivity rates. We're seeing glimmers out there that we may be getting close to a peak, but not enough to celebrate at this moment. Certainly not enough in our organization, but I do believe that we are seeing a little bit across the nation. So we're hoping that we will be able to report to you soon that it has gotten better. But both Yolo and Sacramento County continue to provide us with information about the surges related to travel, et cetera. We continue to educate and support our families, our students, and our staff in relation to vaccination and testing clinics and what may be available for them. And on tonight's agenda, you're going to see that we have a significant purchase of additional tests that are absolutely necessary. And we currently have two, we used to call decision trees from these counties that we're now calling decision forests. And I would say that's our cynical term, but that is their own cynical term, that in order to decide if a person can or can't be and where they can be and when they can be, it's very, very complex, but part of all of that is testing. And the more frequently that we can test to get negative outcomes, the better chance we have of having students and staff back on campus, which is our goal right now. So we're excited about getting those tests in. We continue to have, as the entire world does, certainly all of California, but other states as well, staffing issues, unfilled positions, a lack of substitutes, has a great impact on our sites, our staffs, our schools. Again, want to give a huge shout out. Everybody on our sites are being all things to all people. I see administrators and classrooms. I see central office filling in. You name it, people are all trying to do what must be done, all hands on deck. So we're going to continue to monitor and update regulations in relation to Cal OSHA, CDPH, CDC, local health orders. As you can imagine, they continue to change daily. I'd love to say that's not true, but they do. We also continue to monitor what other districts are doing, and through relationships in AXA and other network areas, we are sharing best practice and utilizing strategies that will support our schools. Cabinet and I have, each of us attended at least 3 governor's budget workshops to get all the available news, and there is more on our schedules coming up. We've also met to go over those various workshops to identify what does the governor's budget seem to mean for us and the future. While it appears to be a somewhat positive economic world we're living in, COLA seems to be positive. It is not as positive as the inflation rate. The difference is over 2%, and we're being very cautious about the volatility that is included with the Omicron strain. variant that has not been a part of those different economic forecasts. We continue to monitor new legislation and how that new legislation affects charter schools specifically, as well as education. Jason and I in particular, I think it was Jason and I, it's harder when you attend on Zoom to remember who's attending with you. Jason and I attended a Young Mini and Core workshop about new laws, and that was overwhelming, but definitely we know more than we ever wanted to know. I know we also have had our director of academics and our director of CTE have attended a number of new laws, as well as financial impact workshops as well. So we're really trying to grow everybody in the knowledge of what's available out there. Recently, we had our annual oversight visit with Twin Rivers. And that included Ms. Francie Heim, who has been our consultant over the last, I think, 4 years. But we also met the new Twin Rivers director, who is overseeing charter schools now, Travis Burke. We're excited to create relationship with him. He is the new designated charter oversight person. And I know that Jason, as our point, is going to be coordinating some Zoom visits with site principals and site leadership teams, so that Travis can ask them questions, have some questions answered. And we hope by March to be able to have Director Burke out to our campuses. This is for our Twin Rivers campuses, our 5 Twin Rivers schools. So we will update you more on that and our other charters annual visits as well in the near future. I have had the opportunity to attend, and I've shared with you before, the AASA National Principal Supervisors Program, as well as the UC Davis Coaching Program. And now I get to add, as of today, I just completed the AXA Principal Leadership Coaching Program. With the point of these 3 different things was to figure out how can we pull from these for best practice serving of our principals and administrators. So I am pleased to say that Dr. McCormick and Dr. Gold and I have met on a new concept that we'll share with you at a later date about a principal support team that's going to be providing support for our principals and helping them in their growth and learning. We're going to use many of the things that have been in these 3 programs and meld them in together. And I know Dr. McCormick is going to be an amazing lead for that. Dr. Gold is excited as well. And I want to affirm them both for their willingness to go deep on that. And it is already availed itself of a draft of our, what we call ROPE, our evaluation process for principals for next year. So more to follow on that. Also want to affirm John Campbell and Jerry Kosh, who have let me practice on them some of the processes and have given me input on what they think works, and very honestly told me what they don't think works. So, which is all things we need for that process. We used to do an amazing thing where I got to go out and eat a lot of donuts and drink coffee called Coffee with the Superintendent at every one of our campuses. It was wonderful. It was amazing, and we lost it during Zoom. But we have replaced it with something that's also amazing and calorie-free, at least for me. It is Coffee with Cabinet. So this last week, I think we did 6 or so of them this last week, but all of Cabinet on Zoom with each school. And it was actually a nice upgrade. Last year, we tried to do it just at particular times, and y'all come, anyone show up. And there was some interest in that, but they really liked to share when we did it specific to their school. So Cabinet met with each of the schools. I think we have 1 left on next week. I think we have Sava next week. So looking forward to that. And that will lead right into, after Sava on Monday, Coffee with Cabinet is done. It's spring presentation time. So we'll be in preparation for Superintendent spring presentations. I've already given Melissa some ideas of what we're going to do to start that. And I didn't put it on here, but we're also deep in our planning for a number of surprises of little things we're going to do for Valentine's Day. We've already got our recognitions for Certificated Week, our recognitions for Classified Week. So we're really trying to do a good job of looking ahead and not missing the opportunity to support and recognize our students, even though we're challenged by COVID. So then I would say I want to thank every one of you, because every one of you has had at least 6 emails about what date to have the mid-year board retreat. And what I would say to you is you guys are like herding cats because there's only 5 of you, but you 5 have the most complicated schedules of anyone in retirement I have ever known. So we have been struggling, but I think we have arrived at a March 8th and 9th. It will be a half day and then a full day, but more detail to follow. We have a lot of great stuff to work on together, to set the tone, to understand where we've been and where we're going. And we're really excited to spend that time with you March 8th and 9th, unless one of you comes up with a problem around that date, which I don't know if I can handle it. But we also, this Thursday, will be having our 4th annual Parent Summit. Jason Sample and the community engagement team is so excited about the 4th annual Parent Summit. We've had such good turnout. Actually, the Zoom virtual platform has really increased our participation. And so I'll be excited to kick that off Thursday night. And we will also send out the Zoom link for you if you're interested in dropping in to see what's going on at our Parent Summit. We also would like to say that I am starting my next cohort of Crucial Conversations. I don't know, 25th, 26th, something. Melissa and I argue about it every time. I think it's 26th. And so I win because I'm the superintendent. But the real thing is that there are a lot of cohorts, but the last cohort just ended in December. And it just is amazing that a new group comes together each time. So I'm real excited about this next one. And then last but not least, it is a different world we're living in at the moment, a world we didn't choose. And we really want to, and I really want to remind our board, our cabinet, our staff, our community to please stay safe, to please take care of yourself, do what you need to care for yourself, your family, but also to care for others around you. Practice your social distancing. Please wear your mask. Please use your hand sanitizer. Do the things you need to do to care for yourself. It may feel like the whole world has COVID, so you might as well give up. Please do not give up because it is more important than ever. We need everyone safe, healthy, and a part of this wonderful organization. So thank you so much, Madam President.
Thank you so much, Dr. Peterson. And I echo everything that you have said in terms of accolades to all of the people who are out there struggling and trying to make everyday work and make education available for parents and for students. So I also want to applaud all of the staff people, the teachers, the administrators, the classified staff, everyone who's out there working diligently each day. Any other comments from board members, please? Any other comments from board members? All right. Again, I want to thank you for your hard work. I want to thank you for your perseverance and the work that you're doing each day to make sure that the organization is stable. And yes, we do need to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves, and you are too. So thank you very much. All right. Our next item will be our study session, COVID-19 and school updates. And I'm assuming that is Mr. Sample and Dr. McCormick.
We will be grateful when this is not a standing item, but yes, it is Mr. Sample and Dr. McCormick.
And I am having some difficulty with my computer. It does not want to screen share. So I'm hoping Jason can jump in and help me out. Or did it work?
Yes.
I believe I read your mind. I already started it.
Ooh, thank goodness. Okay, thank you.
So good evening, board president, Dr. Peterson, members of the board. Thank you for another wonderful opportunity to share with you about what's happening with COVID-19 in our schools and around us. And so Dr. McCormick and I will give you again a brief update in terms of impact and what's happening with our community as well as what's happening within our schools. So first one is just kind of to share a little bit more. Dr. Peterson shared during her update that we are and have seen an increase in cases, positivity cases within both Sacramento and Yolo County. Public Health has said that a lot of these cases seem to be connected to what they're calling the post-holiday or the winter break surge. I will let you know that We met last week with all of the charter leaders, and each of them are experiencing a number of the same challenges we're experiencing through the surge, as well as all of our authorizing district, neighboring schools, and even schools in other parts of California. Everyone's kind of experiencing this surge. The surge is really as a result of the Omicron variant. I was talking to someone, they reminded me it sounds almost like a transformer because the virus continues to mutate and continues to change. And so public health seems to be very happy in terms of, or I should say, hopeful in terms of the way in which the variant seems to be less in its impact, and the fact that maybe we are beginning to move to a place of the next phase of the pandemic. Universal masking, if you remember back in December, Governor Newsom at the end of November, put a statewide mask mandate through the month of January. He has extended that to the month of February 15th to be exact. That mask mandate has no effect on us in that we already have been implementing. That did not affect public schools in that was already a requirement. We as the GCC continue to really work hard through our parent engagement, through each of our school sites to educate, provide testing, vaccination clinics. Right before the winter break, we did another vaccine clinic at COA Middle School. Again, working to really provide for our families the information that they need so they can make their decisions. You can't talk about COVID without talking about the politics of COVID, which has become a major part. We continue to track and monitor all of the legislative policies, bills. This is the new legislative session, and we have a number of bills, or at least one in particular, that has already been introduced that we are tracking. I will tell you, it's a very rare moment in our world in that AXA, CSBA, CSEA, CTA, everyone seems to be a little bit on the same page in terms of the impact of some of the legislation, and we'll be continuing to monitor and track that throughout this legislative session and season. And finally, I think Dr. Peterson shared, we now have a new alphabet soup. We used to talk about the education alphabet soup, but now it's CDPH, it's CDC, it's SCPH. Each of them continue to put out new mandates that we monitor and track. And in some cases, most of those mandates usually drop around Friday afternoon, about 6:14 p.m. Our emails usually buzz with the latest mandate from the county. And we usually use that time to try to get the information out to our staff as fast as possible. Dr. McCormick.
Thank you. So just wanted to give you an update. We're currently at about 63% of our staff that is considered to be fully vaccinated. That definition is still just the either one dose of Johnson & Johnson or 2 doses, and then the 14-day waiting period of the other 2. We have had some indication that that status may change in aspect to what boosters will do to the definition of fully vaccinated, but we've not seen any of that really follow through in any of those mandates or policies that Jason mentioned a moment ago. But as he also mentioned, things change pretty rapidly. We have said from the beginning, this is a very fluid situation, and I think we continue to sort of monitor and watch and see what our next step is so that we can continue to support our staff and our students the best we can. So we are still currently running our 4 testing sites that we have since we began staff testing, but I wanted to share with you that in the last 30 days, we have tested almost 980 staff members through the GCC. Some of those are very much their required weekly testing that they have to take, but many others, because of just not being able to find regular testing sites, we opened and expanded our capacity for staff testing to any staff who wanted to have access to make sure that they were safe or that their family was safe, that they could come to any of our testing sites. As Dr. Peterson mentioned, we now have drive-up testing for the safety of our testing teams. We moved outdoors, and thank goodness the weather has been in our favor and hope to continue to go that way. I will say the team was texting me the day it was super windy, saying that this may not have been the best choice, but they are troopers. I can't affirm them enough for being willing to set up cones and set up drive-up systems and just be out there to support everyone as best they can and to process the tests. You can go to the next slide. I wanted to share with you some of our staff positivity rates. This is something that we do track within our testing system. And then I looked at some of our other school partners in the area and looked at theirs as well. So if you look at the results we have, so I will tell you there is a pretty dramatic lag in test results. We received today test results for our staff that tested on Thursday and started to get results on Friday this afternoon. We used to get a much faster turnaround. That has actually gotten better. 2 weeks ago, we were waiting almost 5 to 6 days to get test results, which prompted the additional purchase of the tests that Dr. Peterson mentioned so that we could be able to have more testing available for staff. But we are running currently at about a 25% positivity rate, which is pretty close to what we see out in Washington Unified, but Twin Rivers a little lower than that with their staff testing. And overall, compared to the state of California, which is running about 19.6. The reality of the positivity rate is it impacts every one of our schools and every one of our classrooms. And I will just echo what Dr. Peterson said before about the tenacity and perseverance, creativity and innovation of everyone on our school campuses to shift and move and find ways to move from in-person instruction to a classroom that has had to quarantine. So we're putting together independent study packets and teachers are home on quarantine and teaching their classrooms remotely. And it's as exhausting as we continue to find this whole process. I am every day impressed by the resiliency of our students, our teachers, our administrators through this whole process. And I believe that is our last slide, unless there's questions.
Dr. McCormick and Mr. Sample, there was one thing that we didn't tell the board about, and again, I think it's because for us it feels like a decade ago, but the disbursement of the test that came from the governor and the state for students. Can you talk to that point?
Absolutely. Would you like me to do that, Mr. Sample, or would you
Sure, go
like to do
ahead.
it? Okay. So we were able to receive COVID tests at home test kits for every one of our students. And those were distributed that first week that we returned back from winter break. And then last week, we received our PPE shipment that is intended for students and staff. And those were mainly composed of N95 masks that we could distribute. And those have also been distributed and delivered to our school sites and to our students and our families.
And those student home tests that we dispersed out, the governor had spoken to that like December 17th or something, right? But in the thought, I think he was believing that he could get those out across the entire state so that we could test students before they come back to the classroom so that if they were positive, they would not infect others. I believe that was his thought. But the actual timing was, if I remember right, did we not get those like the Friday after we'd already been back a week?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Just want to say, I think I want to say Christine, Jason, the staff, everybody did a great job of getting those out to everybody, but it just was not quite as effective due to the timing of having gotten those out. But yeah.
Okay.
All
All right.
I want to make sure
Yes.
no others. Yeah, there seems to be a few people. Who are you calling on?
Mr. Block, I believe, had a hand. Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
I
Mr.
just
Block.
I just said that's a great report, but the only thing I look at and I criticize that needle sticking up there like that. My wife would pass out if she see a needle like that.
I don't know who we can blame for that. Is that Mr. Sample or is that Dr. McCormick? Who picked the needle slide?
I don't remember,
I
honestly.
don't know.
Maybe we can blame one of those alphabet soup people. They probably gave us the
Yeah,
information in one
I'm
of those
sure.
slides. Yeah, there you go.
Because every time you see a report, you see a needle or them giving a shot to someone.
There
which
you
is-
go.
It's just reminding us that vaccination and vaccines are.
Oh, it was a very subtle message to the world. Look at you. Did anyone else
Any
have
other?
a comment or question?
Yes, Mark.
Just a question in regards to the parent summit. Are you anticipating, or are you planning to give them an overview of what's going on with the testing and all of the things relevant to COVID in the schools?
So our plan is, thank you, Director Anderson, for that. Our plan is to definitely share with our families testing availability as well as vaccination clinics. So we are going to share with them a little bit of the information in terms of how you can get access to these things and what we are providing, so that they also know that we are a partner with them for their health as well as their child safety. So yes.
Good. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? All right, hearing none. Thank you so much for that report. And we know that you're doing the best you can with the circumstances, and we thank you both for that. Seeing no other questions or hands, we shall move on to our agenda. And our next item is item number 7, consent agenda items. And I shall go down the list of those for those people who are listening. Adoption of the GCC board meeting 12/14/2021, personnel consent agenda, purchases over $30,000, disposal and surplus of items for Epic School, disposal and surplus of items from COA, declaration and finding regarding need for temporary staffing flexibility pursuant to Executive Order N-03-22, draft of the 2020-21 School Accountability Report Card, the SARC, and daily and long-term substitute teacher rate increase and substitute teacher bonus. I will entertain a motion for consent agenda items. Yes, Mr. Turner?
I move approval.
Move approval, Mr. Turner. Do I have a second? Yes. Second, Mr. Anderson. I believe I saw your hand. All right, we're now open for discussion. Any of the consent agenda items on the list? Any discussions, questions, information? Seeing none and hearing none, I will now do roll call for the consent agenda items. Mr. Mark Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Harry Block,
Yes.
Mr. Bruce Mandrick,
Yes.
Mr. Jack Turner,
Yes.
and Lily Campbell, yes. So the consent agenda items have been approved unanimously. Thank you very much. We do not have a business item. We do not have a curriculum instruction. And we will now move into item 10, facilities. And facilities is SAVA and SCU SD Career Technical Education CTE Tenant Improvement Project. And
I would like to ask Mr. Sample to address this item before we take
yes.
a vote on it, please.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good evening again, board. So the item that you have tonight, the Sava Sac City CTE Tenant Improvement Project. You may remember at the beginning of the year retreat during our facilities report, Coordinator Jerry Little shared with you in terms of the project that we were working on to look at ways to enhance our ability to offer additional CTE pathways such as manufacturing, a culinary, expand our culinary pathway. And at that time, we approved a lease agreement for the really a suite that's right there on our existing footprint of Power Inn to be able to kind of take some of that space to use for more CTE spaces. Tonight, we're bringing to you the contract to be able to begin the tenant improvement as we shared in the agenda backup, our landlord also has a portion of this. I believe $108,000 is his part of the tenant improvement allowance. And this work will really commence as soon as we get this agreement moving forward so that we can work to get students utilizing this space as soon as next school year.
Mr. Sample, in terms of the cost, I know it's a little more elevated than what we had planned on. That's due to economic factors in the area and actually across the United States. Can you address that a tiny bit?
Yes, so our costs, as you can imagine, one of the things that we've even heard during the governor's budget workshop, as well as we're just experiencing across not only for us, but across the entire US, is an increased cost around materials, supplies, and labor cost. It's part of the inflation factor. And so we are seeing kind of that first beginning of the increase through inflation right now with some of our materials. And by us getting this agreement approved tonight, we'll be able to kind of miss that next jump in inflation. So we're working really hard to lock in our costs where they are right now without incurring additional.
Mark, did I see your hand?
No.
Okay. Jack did. Okay, I was looking. Yes, Jack.
I move approval, and then I have a comment and a question.
Okay. Do I have a second to that? May I have a second? Yes, Mark.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, it's been moved in second. All right, and you have a comment, Jack.
Yes, I have to tell you, I did talk to Lily and Jason about I was shocked by the increase in the cost for the CTE Center. And I guess the question is for Elmira or who would like to respond to it. At that cost level for over 2 years, is SAVA going to be able to cover that cost? Are they going to have an increase in student population to cover it? What's the impact if they don't have the increase in student population? It just seemed, not that I'm going to vote against it, it just seems to be for the SAVA operation, a very hefty debt load to pay off on a facility that we're leasing.
Right. I want to just talk to it briefly and then I'll let Jason say something as well. But same concern, Jack. We're in the same, none of us loved that number. But we did set aside a significant portion of that amount already in the budget this year to be expended towards it. We do also have significantly more than a minimal reserves necessary, which also can go towards it. So we do believe that SAVA Sac City can manage this, and we also do believe the cost will come in over 2 years. Jason, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take it away from you. What do you need to apply to that?
No, and just to add to that in addition is working with Director Elliott and the team, we've already started looking at ways that we can market and continue to grow enrollment, not only this year, but also moving into next school year. So we definitely understand and have started working towards enrollment growth already.
I can tell you right now that we are going to not be approving any other enhancements or anything that we can control that would add a dime to what is before you today. So, and if there are any opportunities for cost savings, that will also be being pursued.
Any other? Mark? Okay, am I seeing any more hands? Mark, yes.
Just a question about do we have some agreements with the contractors that we're going to be locking in these costs that we're approving?
Yes, so the agreement that you have tonight is attached to your agenda is the one that says this is our cost.
Okay.
Yes.
So there's not going to be any creeping elegance. This is going to be what it is.
This is what it is.
Okay.
Is creeping elegant? Is creeping really elegant? I don't know.
No,
Creepy elegant.
it isn't.
I like
No,
that.
it's not. It's a nice term.
Yeah.
No overrides. All right. Okay, no other questions, no other comments. I will now entertain a roll call for a vote. Mark Anderson,
Yes.
Harry Block,
Yes.
Bruce Mandrick,
Yes.
Jack Turner,
Yes.
and Lily Campbell. Yes. So the facilities, SAVA, SCUD, Career Technical Education passes. All right. And so with that, we will move to item 13, board comments before we go into closed session. Board comments at this point? Yes, Mr. Turner.
Just so I can put it on my calendar, maybe it's more than a comment. Have we now locked in the March dates, what, 7th and 8th or 8th and 9th?
8th
whatever?
and 9th. 8th
Well,
and
that's
9th, that's a for
Okay.
sure. 8th and 9th, and the 9th will be the full day one. The 8th will be a half day. We haven't quite, I think, dialed in the exact hours of the half day, but we'll get that to you as soon as we can.
So what happened to the, because we were originally in February, then we moved to March. What happened to the March 1st date?
In between here, there were things you could do, Mark couldn't do, something Harry could do, but you couldn't do, something Bruce could do, but not Lily. It was just a complete domino effect, and
Okay.
there's no one person to blame. We were all to blame.
That's not my comment, but anyway, all right. I look forward to the March date. We have really a lot to discuss. I think 2 days are going to be appropriate. So I support the change. I just wish it were sooner than later.
And I think the date, because I know Melissa has worked very hard trying to get a date where we all could be there. And it has fluctuated from one date to the next, to the next, to the next. So this seems to be the one date where all of us can be there, the 8th and 9th.
And what I can say, Jack, is as vehemently as you want this, so does everybody else. And that's what made it hard. No one wants to say, I'll stand down in order to have it be a few weeks earlier. So it is, everybody really understands the importance of this year's retreat as much as ever before. So very excited that we could find 2 days where everybody could be there.
Any other board comments? Seeing no hands, we are now going into closed session. Closed session, employee and personnel matter pursuant to Government Code, Section 54957. And we shall return to report the outcome of this closed session. So with that, let us now move into closed session room. Hello?
Somebody is working on it. You just have to
Give
be
us
patient.
Okay.
just a moment.
Seven. 28th is a Monday.
Okay, I believe we're almost.
Okay, Madam President, we're back in our main session. We are back to our recording. You are on mute right now. It is possible that Mr. Sample might be able to unmute you, but we are not hearing you right now. Jason, are you hearing me okay?
I am, and
I don't know that Lily is aware that we cannot hear her.
and I've clicked the button to ask to unmute.
Lily, you are
Okay,
muted.
I
There
am
we go.
unmuted now.
Now you're unmuted. All right.
Thank you. Okay, we're back from closed session and there is no action, information only. And so with that, we will now have announcement of the next board meeting. Do we have that?
Miss Melissa?
February 8th.
February 8th.
February the 8th. All right, everyone got that? February the 8th, next board meeting. Okay. Anything else, closing comments from any of the board members? Any other comments? Nope. Seeing none, hearing none. Again, thank all of you, all of the cabinet members, Dr. McCormick, Ms. O'Mara, Mr. Sample, Dr. Peterson, and I think I got everyone. And of course, all of the board members. We appreciate your being here with us. And we're looking forward to seeing you on February the 8th for our regular board meeting. And so with that, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
So move, Mr. Block. Do I have a
Second.
Second. It's been moved in second. So all in favor of the adjournment of the meeting, the voting sign of aye.
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 Meeting's adjourned.